Well, hello, this is Rochelle, and welcome to my channel. So, today I've decided to answer a question that I get asked more often than any other question, and the question is to gesso or not to gesso. So, first of all, gesso is a primer, a page prep. It is something that creates a barrier between the paper and your product so that either your product sticks better or doesn't bleed through or has some grit to stick to. And it also helps certain products move better because it creates a slick surface. How to apply gesso? I find it better to use a card, a paint card or a credit card or an old gift card, because it's got a lot of flex, so you are able to lay down the gesso in a very even and very smooth and like flat. It has no streaks like a paintbrush would. So I just put a little bit of clear gesso on a paint card and then apply it to the paper or wherever I'm going to work on with that, and it's also easier to get it back into the container. The two types of clear gesso that I prefer is either this 13 Arts one, and it is available at a lot of the shops here in South Africa, and also the Dina Wakely clear gesso, which is very scarce, especially here in South Africa. I do not like the other South African brands. They are very gritty, and for Bible journaling, I don't like that effect. The Art Basics one for me is especially runny, and so that one also doesn't catch my fancy. The method of applying it with the card also lets it dry really quickly. So you'll see, I pretty much wrote on it straight away because it was already dry. So it creates a very thin layer. It helps it to dry quickly and be applied evenly and smooth. So I'm going to be testing a few products, specifically the Faber Castell products. I use the Faber Castell products because they don't need page prep or gesso. And you'll see how the products behave differently. So I've got here 3 pieces of 160 GSM white cardstock paper, and I'm using the Albrecht Durer markers and the watercolor markers and Gelatos and the watercolor paint. Now on the gesso side, you'll see that it pools. Actually, even if you wipe it, it comes off. So because of that barrier, it kind of sits on top of the gesso and doesn't dry as quickly. Now with 160 GSM paper, the Albrecht Durer watercolor markers, they're just of a higher quality and like a better paper. So you get the best results with an Albrecht Durer watercolor marker using proper 300 GSM watercolor paper. It blends beautifully. You'll remember from a video I did on my Facebook page when I unboxed them. It just blends beautifully on watercolor paper. But if you're going to use it on, I want to say cheap paper, you're going to get a cheap result. So without the gesso, you'll see it didn't blend at all. With the gesso, it blended so much that you could actually wipe it off. So that's also not the result we want. Did some previous testing in the back of my Bible with some products. I think it was actually from the live with the Albrecht Durer watercolor markers. And so I'm just putting out some washi tape to create a bit of a line mask for the gesso side and the non-gesso side. And we're going to be testing a whole bunch of products. So laying down 2 layers of gesso, making sure it's good and dry and covered. And then I'm going to be using, again, the Albrecht Durer watercolor markers. I'm going to be using my Pitt artist pens. I'm going to be using Gelatos, the actual watercolor in pans. And then also I'm going to try out my Goldfaber watercolor pencils to see how those work. on the gesso and not on the gesso. So while I'm giving it a minute to dry, just getting all my supplies ready, and I've decided to use the cobalt blue for this specific video, and tried to do it with a color that I had in all of the ranges. Okay, so I've laid down again with my watercolor, with my paint card. I've laid down the gesso, and now I'm just applying this product and showing you that the color intensity is very good. It's the same. The gelato one is called Nebula. It's from the iridescence range. It is my favorite color. The cobalt blue in the watercolor pans is much lighter, but you can build up the color obviously as you let it dry and add more color and dry and add more color. And already you can see that on the gesso the watercolor is actually very, very light. Yeah, doesn't like it at all. The Faber Castell Pitt Artist pens do not move once dry, whether on gesso or not on gesso. So that one does not get activated by water. It is a permanent India ink, and so once it is dry, it sticks where it is. You can't move it. The beautiful thing, and I'll show you that just now, is that it also has no bleed through. So I love the Pitt Artist pens. They are a phenomenal quality product. The pencils, strangely, on the gesso are very streaky. So where you can blend on the non-gesso side and use a blending tool or one of those stumps to kind of bring it into each other. With the gesso, it's very streaky, and it remains as such even after applying some water to activate the color, and it almost moves it completely. So you'll see even with the Albrecht Durer, it removes the color. With the gelatos, it kind of pools. With the watercolor, it pools, and it's just, I don't like the way that the products work on the gesso at all. Even the Pitt Artist pens in the S nib, this fine nib, you'll see it kind of dots in places where you write. Only bleed through is once you activate the Albrecht Durer markers with water, without gesso, then it bleeds. Other than that, only shadowing on the Albrecht Durers straight on top of the page without gesso. The bleed through is actually pretty bad without gesso. It even covered onto the next page once you add water. So it's the water that activates the pigment for the Albrecht Durer watercolor markers. Other than that, really good results. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.